Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in this live session. I'm Alejandro Kiku from Workana, right now sitting at home in Kuala Lumpur. If growth marketing was a big thing a couple of years ago, now with the tremendous digital acceleration we are seeing, it's just a must. Transformation entails recalibrating how work and consumer trends are changing affect all sorts of roles, including engineering, design, and of course, digital marketing. On one hand, Workana is working closely with many tech companies, helping them reliably hire and work with remote talent. Tech talent is far easier to find when you run a borderless organization. And on the other hand, we are also hosting these very sessions. It's part of our endeavors to support companies in this journey. In these sessions, industry leaders share their insights and plans on the best ways to tackle this new normal we're experiencing. So far, we've had conversations with a rich variety of businesses, fast-moving consumer good companies such as Reckitt Benckiser, tech startups like Fave and Naluri. We spoke with Lalamove, working on logistics. And now we have the opportunity to talk to Insider, a company empowering digital marketers to deliver personalized journeys so customers get the best of experiences. So today, our guest is Steve, Director of Advocacy and Community Engagement at Insider. Let me add him to the stream. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Kiku. Great to be here, and thank you for having me.
By all means, my pleasure. My pleasure. How are you?
It's a beautiful day. Actually, it's a beautiful summer day in Hungary, and the joys of being able to work from home is that I can sit in the garden in a few minutes after this call, and just plug off and just work while I'm enjoying a bit of sun breeze and a nice sunshine.
That's amazing. And I love the positive attitude, looking at the bright side of working from home and these, in a sense, restrictions that also allow for great things.
Thank you, and yes, of course.
Great. Thank you. So first of all, as an introduction, can you please share a little bit about Insider and your role within the company?
Yeah, I'll take you through that quite a few times during this call, actually. So my name is Steve. I am the head of customer advocacy and community engagement at Insider. What that means is, I'm like this lovely love child of customer success teams, marketing, and of course sales at the end of it. My job revolves around all of what they do, and of course with a bit of input from what the product team is doing at Insider. What is Insider? We are a marketing platform. What does that mean? We help brands across the globe to be able to better connect, speak, and of course engage with their customers and their communities. We work with over 800 brilliant brands, the likes of Yves Rocher to the likes of the L'Oreals, the Unilevers of the world, and this is us in a nutshell.
All right, interesting, and quite some interesting companies you have on board.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It is exciting to see what some of these companies have been doing, especially with the lockdown, the pandemic, and of course how they've kind of reverted into this hyper accelerated digital transformation mode. And yes, if you want to ask anything about our customers, about the different things that they've been doing, I would love to share with you on the number of things we've been seeing in the last year to 18 months even.
Right. Excellent. And that was precisely where I was going right now, which is, what changed, say, comparing before 2020 and, as you were saying, the past year or 18 months. What changed, in either with your business model and primarily with what you're seeing how these companies have been transforming.
Let's take one step back, if you don't mind, from there. So, everyone's been talking for the past, I don't know, even 7 or 8 years now, that we need to be digital. We need to have, presence across all the different digital channels. You would have seen, everyone talking about data driven, whatever engagement, right? It doesn't have to be just marketing. A lot was said, and there were 5-year, 10-year plans, because most organizations, if you think about the huge enterprises especially, they take time, right? There are way too many stakeholders, there are way too many people involved, and there's also the other set of or mindset, let's say, that don't break if something works, right? What happened with, let's say, March 2020 last year is that companies no longer had that, or could not afford the thing of, we'll do it in about 3 to 5 years time. No, 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 we have to do it now. That changed, that accelerated our digital practice. We started looking at, consumers, especially the consumers, adopting digital shopping. So last year, one of the studies that we saw from McKinsey as well started talking about, 60% of the world's population, this was December and November last year, is already online without the need to go back away from this online shopping trend or online everything trend. We started seeing how the world's population started using social media to connect on everything. Right? You can even see that right now with our vaccine drive. There's a huge vaccine drive on social media, because that's how people are. When I say people, I'm talking about the greater population, the different demographics, and not just the millennials and the Gen Z that were commonly on social media looking for
Right.
information. So that's where this pandemic has improved some of the holes that we had in our digital transformation, our digital journeys.
That's I Yeah, I agree. I agree, and that's so interesting. And you mentioned digital channels, right? And I think that's also something worth considering, because from a consumer point of view, it's only natural nowadays, and maybe not as much a couple of years ago, to, of course, you engage with brands and your family and friends digitally in so many
Correct.
different ways, right? Either social media, instant messaging, text messages, SMS, WhatsApp, video calls, emails, all sorts of channels. And that's natural, because in life you do stuff in different channels, right? Of course.
Correct.
And it's what's amazing is how these businesses, I mean, in general, speaking in general, right, were really not really tapping into the full potential of this. And I wonder, how even today, a year and a half into this, well, the pandemic and all of that, this accelerated transformation, as you were
Yeah.
saying, how, to what extent would you say that's still an untapped opportunity?
Good question here, and I'm just going to pace myself for this one. Um, there is a lot of untapped potential there, right? While a lot of our companies are dealing with multi-channel experience, right, omni-channel touch points, everyone's talking about that. There is still, and I had this lovely conversation with this gentleman called Benjamin Quinlan yesterday from Hong Kong, from the Hong Kong FinTech Association. I will forgive me for not remembering the exact abbreviation of the company, but Ben mentioned this, right? A lot of banks talk about being data driven. However, if you look at how they are using a data stack, it's still not there yet,
Hmm.
right? We talk about individualization, but individualization, there is so much more to be done across the different channels, especially. That's where Insider comes into play with across the globe. We do work with a number of companies exactly on this, right? We want companies to think beyond the marketplaces of the world, the Amazons, the eBays, the Alibabas of the world, because there's now a huge push. If you've noticed, a lot of companies are going the DTC model, right? The direct to consumer model. There's a push on trust economy. So getting the consumers to trust you, that your
Right.
data is safe with them, that you're not going to be bombarding them with, let's say, 10 emails a week, or you're not going to be using their WhatsApp for anything other than serving them, right? And then, of course, it's all about the experience, where we are seeing a lot of brands turn towards that experience economy model. And this is, again, this is another part where Insider took it to the next level. Not only are we working with our customers on the same, but we're also working with our customers, not just our customers, but a global digital ecosystem, to create a space like Reshape. That's our annual event, where companies can share ideas, where leaders can share ideas and help each other build a better experience, not only digitally, but also across all the touch points, whether it's digital or it's offline.
Uh-huh. All right. All right. That's great. And that's um and I guess given your role, since you are involved throughout the whole journey with your own clients, these businesses uh, transforming, you get to see, my guess and kind of my question is, you get to see how they might go from not knowing, not being aware of the full extent of the opportunity when they are perhaps a lead for your sales
Yeah.
team, all the way to realizing the potential and embracing it, right? And then being able to share it in the Reshape events, for example.
Yeah, what's best, and this comes from our co-founders, right? This comes from our co-founders Hande and Serhat and Arda and the other awesome teams that we've got. Um, from the very beginning, we wanted to celebrate the smaller successes and the bigger successes. All of our partners, whether you are an enterprise or a small or medium-sized business, we celebrate them equally, right? So when I joined the company in 2019, one of the first few companies I was introduced to were from Poland. You wouldn't know these brands, DZ and Celzi, etc., but DZ is part of the CCC group, right? DZ is a whole and soul online business for shoes, right? And unless and until I was sitting there, and of course, in the company we have a lot of different ways of sharing this information with the other teams. I wouldn't have known who DZ is and the extent of personalization they do,
Uh-huh.
or the work that they have done across all their lovely digital touch points. Same thing with Celzi. Celzi is like the luxury version of IKEA, but
Uh-huh.
and they are in Europe. They are across Europe, but they are a Polish company. So I didn't know a lot about them till I sat down and said, okay, what are they doing? Tell me about their persona-based marketing. So this is what we've been learning, and we've been disseminating this. Our marketing team, since we've been in lockdown, we've accelerated knowledge sharing, right?
Uh-huh.
That is one of the best things I think would have come out since March 2020, is we have more time now to share with our different teams all the different things that our customer success team is doing, our sales team are doing, our marketing team are doing together, and how we are kind of nurturing also our individual ecosystems in those different countries, but also kind of working towards that bigger model, which is a very global connected ecosystem.
That's amazing. And allow me to dive a little bit into that. So basically, thanks to the pandemic, since it started hitting the whole world
Yeah.
heavily in March 2020, um, the teams at Insider have been managing to be better at sharing knowledge internally. Wow, that's great. What's all right? So was it driven out of well, of course, the necessity to share the knowledge, right? But how come that only because of the pandemic you managed to take that leap, make that leap?
Actually, it's not just because of the pandemic, right? So we've been a global company for a very, very long time, right? Right now, we work out of 26 different countries,
Hmm.
but our expanse of the number of countries we service is a lot bigger. What does that mean? So we have this brilliant VP of marketing, Marva, who helps connect, and from the get-go, right? She's always been the one who's connected the marketing teams. Now, this is in all the different departments. I don't say it's only limited to marketing, but what I saw, right, as I got into the company is you have your weeklies. This was before the pandemic. right? I think, as far as I can tell, we've been having weeklies for about 2 to 3 years now. This is before my time, but we have these weekly catch-up calls. We have the weekly training with the teams. We start looking at what they need to be able to improve. We start doing a lot of knowledge sharing anyways. The difference that came in was now we were seeing how some of the teams were being very proactive in making use of a virtual environment, right? That is what got accelerated a lot more during the pandemic, during this lockdown period, during the restrictions. Different countries had different timelines also. So, from we pivoted away from webinar models a long time back. We started seeing everyone was doing that. So we started leading the curve. Reshape was one of them, but we also started doing roundtables. We started having great partner sessions with the likes of our AppsFlyer partners or Content Square, Mixpanel, ADA, Deloitte Digital, etc. Right. So we started doing a lot more with them, but we started seeing that some of the marketers, the regional marketers, were taking the initiative to play around with what is possible and then training the rest of the team. So that's
Wow.
where I think that knowledge sharing did an amazing bit for all of us. We started opening up our ideas, right? I didn't know, by the way, back in April 2020, if roundtables would have been a great idea. But
Right.
because someone on my team tried it, we said, this is brilliant. We should do this. And how can you personalize it and localize it to your different regions? That became the big talk of the town. So yeah,
That's great.
we are experimenting a lot right now.
That's great. And I guess you're mentioning that you did mention the VP of marketing, but of course you're also mentioning that lots of these initiatives come from all sorts of roles in the teams. I guess you guys have quite a culture of empowerment, right? And
Yes. Yes.
allowing for ideas to thrive.
Exactly. I mean, while Merve is our VP of Global Marketing, we do have two VPs of their region. So VP of APAC, Ankesh, and VP of EMEA, Nico. And while Merve, is our leader, she does give us strategic alignment with what the company goals are and everything else. Each person is almost treated like their own director for the country. They do have a lot of not only empowerment, but also we enable, as in when I say we, the whole marketing team enables each other to be able to perform some of those tasks that they would say, can I bounce off an idea with you? Can I see how this would have worked in your mind before I start, trying to push this forwards? So yeah, there is this amazing, synergy between the different teams to help out and support each other.
Right, right, right. Well, that's great. And well, being in 26 countries, is it? Your
Yes.
teams, I mean, that's yes, quite a distributed workforce, of course. I guess, do
Yeah.
you well, Reshape and the roundtables, my understanding is that these are events for the whole world to attend and
Correct.
present. But then you had mentioned your weeklies, right? The internal sharing sessions, in a
Yeah.
sense, you also have. Do you guys rely on, or rather, have you developed new ways of communicating that would not have been ideal before the pandemic, like embracing asynchronous forms of communication or some other tool?
Well, we are a technology company, right? So there is no tool out there we haven't tried.
Right.
I think what we have really moved a lot more forwards, let's say, in terms of tools, especially, right? We've tested a number of different event tools. We've tested a number of different internal communication tools. For example, we shifted to Slack, quite recently, and that seems to be doing great for everyone in the company to be able to keep repositories of documents for their different departmental conversations. Everyone seems to enjoy the idea and the flexibility that Slack allows them to do. But also we have monthly catch-ups with our co-founders, right? So we do have Hyundai giving us a rundown on how the company's been performing, rundown through some of the biggest questions that the teams have been asking her, and how can we address some of those questions. Nothing's been left unheard or unsaid. One of the things you would notice, a huge theme of last year and even this year is resilience, employee resilience, leadership resilience, resilience of the company to run through these times. It's not easy, right? I've been in working from home since March 2020. It's a very different feeling. And this is, again, it's the same thing with over 700, 800 of our colleagues around the world. So, how do you keep them motivated? How do you keep them engaged? Tools are great. They're all fun. Most tools can do almost everything else, right? The difference is what tools are defining what the customer needs. What
Mhm.
tools are giving you that oomph effect when you use them, right? That's what Insider is about. I could tell you there are at least 50,000 different kinds of SaaS vendors out there who claim to be great Martech players.
Right.
I don't deny any of that, right? However, with Insider, our point was always take that product, listen to your customers, and push it to that next level. And that's what
Right.
we expect from all the platforms we use, whether it is Hopin for our events, whether it is Zoom or Zoom webinars we use for our roundtables, whether it is the use of Slack to be able to communicate internally effectively or create teams working together, creating new processes that work better for not only the global teams, but also the regional teams to work together. That's all something we've been ironing out while you're not able to walk up to the person you would need to work with, right? Or to ally with for a particular project. So that, I think, has been great this year. And we've seen that across customer advocacy, community engagement, across outreach, expansion, so on and so forth. We've, by the way, also just launched our US engagement, which has been great to see. And we are expecting so much now, given that we are, as I say, I'm smiling, but we are literally moving at an enormously fast pace, just because companies are realizing that they need to be digitally excellent and not just digitally active.
Right, right. Definitely. It's not just a matter of having your Instagram profile and that's it, right? It's so much more. Um, it sounds like, and this is amazing that you guys, what you sell and the the kind of tools you can provide for your clients are precisely also the kinds of tools, or rather the same philosophy you implement yourselves, right? About
Correct.
sharing knowledge, about having a full vision of what's going on and building better journeys out of that. That's great. I mean,
Thank you.
it's in a sense, it's so much easy to market something, to sell something when you do it yourself, and you, of course, that means you truly believe in it.
That's a huge part of why I'm with Insider, because it's very difficult to market something that's not good. It's
Right.
very easy to market something that is actually good, and you can see that. I mean, my job is customer advocacy, right? So, when I look at our customers like the Watsons, uh, you know, uh, we recently won this amazing tech award in Asia at the e-commerce awards, and it was about how Watsons and even Domino's, powered by Insider's AI technology, have been able to excel at digital engagement. And we were smiling our heads off when we said that. I think out of 30 or something awards, 14 of them went to our customers, right?
Wow.
Yeah, so it's easy now to share with you this thing, but had these awards not happened, I'd be prattling on about how great Insider is. But these awards are great points for us to take a quick check and say, yeah,
Of
we are
course,
on the right path.
it's validation, definitely,
Yes.
definitely. So can you share one great, maybe you can name the client, maybe not, that's all right, but can you share one great example of a company undergoing this accelerated digital transformation, and briefly, mentioning where they were upon point A, and then where they what they managed to achieve?
That's a little bit more difficult to do because there are so many.
Okay.
And I say this with all the humility I can actually share with you, that been looking at a lot of customer success. Whether it was before or during the pandemic, it doesn't matter, because our customers, one of the biggest things our customer success team has been able to do, and what we promise our customers when we start working with them is, look, we're not just there to enable you to run your campaigns, or you want to engage on these different platforms. Yeah, that's great, all of that's perfect. Our job is to help you go that extra mile and become this amazingly rounded, very, very connected digital platform. Right? You could be the Toyota, by the way. Yes, with Toyota, we were able to test a number of different applications, with them to drive at the end of it sales engagement. With Avon, we helped them increase their average order value by 11%, click-through rates by 13%. All of this is great to say, but at the end of it, what we achieve with them is the ability to think beyond and outside the box. Uh, so I try not to delve too much on where they were in at point A, and where they got to point B. But I would definitely suggest, if you are in the world of banking, in telecom, you are in FMCG, you are in the retail world space, you are just an e-commerce player out there, check out our use case studies on useinsider.com, because it is a very clear picture of what companies can do. I mentioned about Celsi and doing persona-based marketing. I mentioned about how companies have pivoted towards WhatsApp messaging better, keeping in mind there's a brand trust that they are developing there, right? But people do want that. They want ease of access to this. So all of these things have accelerated in 2020, and then they are just getting polished. It's like in 2020, a lot of the brands, not only what that we were working with, but a number of brands who had that 5-year plan I mentioned about, they were
Right.
throwing in chewing gum, they were throwing in rubber, they were trying to plug in all the holes from a leaky faucet. 2021 is amazing. It's like they've immediately turned towards this excellence model. It's
Mm.
like your new RAV4, Toyota RAV4 coming out of the line, or your BMW 3 Series coming out of the line, purely polished, amazingly, fit out to match the consumer's need. And that's exactly how we're seeing it right now.
All right, all right. That's interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, good stuff. So, Steve, final thought to wrap up this great conversation, and thank you for the insights. This is really interesting. So, to perhaps particularly for marketers out there, both in industries, as you were mentioning, banking, telecom, FMCG, retail, but also perhaps, or e-commerce, but also perhaps smaller kinds of businesses. What kinds, and also considering that half of 2021 is almost done with, which is crazy.
Yeah.
What's one simple piece of advice you put out there for digital marketers?
So this is a good one, right? At Insider, we believe in our motto, right? This is Insider, this is different. Everything we do is basically to think outside the box. We don't want technology to be boring. We don't want UX to be boring. And this is the same thing I would tell for a marketer who is working on a financial product in a bank, let's say, or a loan or an insurance company, or I'm talking to the marketers at Puma who have exciting campaigns, who've got great products that, for like, yeah, you know what? I want to buy that Puma. I want to buy that Adidas. Is the same thing. Technology is amazing, right? If you're able to validate, if you're able to choose the right technology that works for you. Um, what is more important than just technology is human ingenuity. How can you use your creativity of the team? How can you upskill them to be able to do something using a tech product? And of course, be very, very vigilant in whom you choose as your partner, right? We call our customers partners, and there's a very strong reason for that, is because we believe that we are working together towards the same goal, right? So be and this goes back to one of our sessions with our speaker from Loev last year. Uh, Not throwing down names there, but yes, she mentioned this very clearly, right? One of the biggest challenges and one of the biggest goals they had for 2020 was to identify the right technology partners for them. This is where SMBs can play on the level playing field. Technology has allowed that with bigger enterprises. So this is me just letting all of our marketers to know digital marketing is here to stay. You've got to improve. You've got to upskill yourselves. You've got to choose the right products for you, and do that with your team in mind, with your customers in mind, and what you need versus the amazing fads of the world saying you need to be omni-channel marketing. Great, that's a great word, but how are you getting from point A to point B in the space of time that you've got with the team you've got and the budgets you've got? So, yes, this is
All
my
right.
final word for everybody.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Great advice. Thank you so much. Finally, would you like to mention the Reshape Summit taking place 3 months from now?
Thank you,
I'm,
Kiku.
yeah,
I'm going to
please,
do a
please do, please
shameless
do.
plug. I'm going to do a shameless plug for Reshape. So Reshape is Insider's way to bring together over 10,000 leaders across the globe. 2 days, September 15th, 16th. Check out reshapesummit.com. Our speakers are the likes of, Sir Martin Sorrell, one of the biggest digital leaders on the planet, to Hanneke Faber, the president of Unilever Foods Group, one of the biggest sites of Unilever. We've got the director of marketing from Mercedes Benz, to the chairwoman from Booking.com, to the CMO from GSK Consumer Healthcare. We've got the lot across the globe, different industry leaders. It's kind of a must be there for all the CXO leaders of any and every B2C brand you can think of. Um, we've of course also been lucky to get some very famous personalities. I don't want to tell you that. Go to reshapesummit.com. Do register to the event. Check out our speaker board, and of course, if you got any feedback, you can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm always there. My name is Steve George. I work for Insider, so feel free to reach us out over there. Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent, Steve. Thank you so much. And yeah, looking forward to keeping in touch.
Cheers, brother. Thank you so much. Have a great time.
Stay safe. Thank you.
Bye bye.